The Supreme Court of Georgia has overturned a double murder conviction handed down to a man in the 2012 murders, Michael Biancosino, a 30-year-old aspiring lawyer, and Emily Pickels, a 21-year-old tour guide. Now, Walter Terry Moon was sentenced to life without parole in the killings 5 years ago, but Monday morning, the state highest court ruled that the trial court erred by removing a holdout juror during the deliberation without sufficient cause. The case drew national attention at the Biancosino brother. Local attorney Jamie Cosino made a commercial that aired during the Super Bowl in 2014 to bring attention to the case as well as corruption in Savannah. Now on Monday, the Supreme Court of Georgia remanded the case for a new trial. The shooting happened during the early morning hours of September the 1st, 2012. Now, Biancosino and Pickels were found in a white Buick car that crashed through the brick fencing around the Frazier Homes apartments on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard at the west end of Henry Street. The pair were gunned down in a barrage of 22 rounds fired from an AK-47 assault rifle as they sat in Biancosino's car as Biancosino was taking Pickels home on Henry Street at about 3:30 a.m. after dining at a Five Guys restaurant on Bay Street. Prosecutors said previously that Biancosino's and Pickels were shot to death in a case of mistaken identity. Their accused gunman, Sidney Grant, who age was 32 at the time, was later found dead in March 2013 on Indian Street in front of Club Frozen by officers responding to a shooting call. Homicide detectives had been searching for Grant in connection with the Biancosino's Pickels murder before he was found dead. Police determined that Grant and Moon had been out that night looking for another man who was frequent around that area where Biancosino and Pickels were killed and who owned a car that was nearly identical to the one Biancosino was driving. Now, what was key to the prosecution case was a confession by Moon to his friend Terrence Green. He was the driver of the Sonic and Trey 4 pulled the trigger. In his words, Green also testified that Moon told him that the weapon was a chopper and that the victim ran from them. Following Moon's June 2016 trial, the jury found Moon guilty of malice murder and other crimes for the shooting deaths of Biancosino and Pickels. He was sentenced as a recidivist with 6 prior convictions, 2 consecutive life without parole prison sentences plus 45 years. Moon then appealed to the state Supreme Court, arguing several things, including that the trial judge erred by removing the lone holdout juror during the deliberations without cause. The conviction happened under former District Attorney Meg Heap, but it's unclear whether yet her successor, Shalina Cook Jones, will retry Moon. And I did a little bit more information about Mr. Sidney Grant, the guy that was being accused of shooting actually Biancosino and Pickels, that was actually alleged by Mr. Moon. Now, as I'm reading from the article that was posted about a decade ago, a Savannah man was acquitted on murder and related charges in the October 2009 slaying of Vandell Bivens in Frazier Homes. Sidney Grant, who age was 29 at the time, was found not guilty by a Chatham County Superior Court judge in less than an hour and a half before Judge James F. Bass Jr. The victim, 28-year-old father of 2, was shot several times in the head at close range on October the 8th, 2009, as he rode a 4-wheeled ATV on Emerald Drive in the Westside Public Housing neighborhood. The state key witness, Catherine Shellman, identified Grant as the shooter to police detectives. In court, Circuit Public Defender Michael Edwards told jurors Shellman did not know what occurred, urging them to discredit her testimony. She did not know, he said. She didn't see it. She heard stuff on the street. Edwards characterized Grant as the classic outsider being blamed for something that he did not do. Sidney Grant was innocent of every charge of this indictment, Edwards told jurors Thursday. Now, what is Sidney Grant's motive to have done this? Edwards asked. He's the classical outsider. He said witness Alex Williams, who has since died, absolved Grant from the shooting. Anything Alex Williams said about the shooting happened, Edwards argued, Shellman doesn't fit anything else people said in the case. But Assistant District Attorney Hennepin defended Shellman, telling jurors that she was terrified. She's the second victim in this case, he argued. She just wants it to end. It's a nightmare. Testimony shows that her stepbrother was shot at the same day at her apartment, pelted by 20 shots fired from a machine gun. Soon afterwards, she moved her children out of the apartment, then moved herself and never went back. Hennepin argued that the shooter was armed with a 9mm semi-automatic Glock and fired four very, very accurate shots into the victim, who he said walked up to the rider and shot him in the back of the head. In addition to a malice murder charge, Grant was indicted on a charge of felony murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime by a person with certain prior convictions. Bivens' death was the 23rd homicide reported to Metro Police that year. The previous homicide took place September the 23rd in Ardsley Park. In July 2007, Bivens was indicted with murder in the May 1st, 2007 death of John Weldon, who age was 22 at the time. The victim, a Savannah Technical College student, was fatally shot while visiting a friend in Yamacraw Village. Chatham County Superior Court records show. Singleton said Bivens was released from custody in April 2008, and the charges against him were dropped.